Listen closely, chosen one. What I am about to share with you is not for everyone. It is sacred, urgent, and meant only for those who are aligned with God's will. If your heart is not attuned to the divine path, I ask you to leave this space now. This is not for casual curiosity. This is for confirmation. But if you are still here, understand that your presence is not by accident. This moment is for you. You were brought here by divine purpose, and the words that follow are for you to hear, to embrace, and to understand. God does not operate in randomness. There is a reason why you clicked on this video today, in this very moment. You have been chosen for something far beyond what you may currently see or understand. If you are still here, you are a part of a greater story. You are among the few who have been entrusted with a purpose that is ancient, sacred, and profound.
You carry spiritual gifts that have existed since the beginning of time. Gifts that once rested on the prophets of old, who were called to speak and act on behalf of the Creator. And just as God spoke through them, He is speaking to you now. You have felt it, haven't you? That deep stirring within your spirit, that quiet whisper that calls you to something greater, something more meaningful than what the world offers. It is not your imagination. It is the voice of the divine, calling you to rise, to understand, and to step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. Before we go deeper, I invite you to pause for a moment and take a breath. Allow yourself to feel the weight of these words. If this resonates with your spirit, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely feel moved by this message. And if you are ready to fully embrace the divine calling on your life, I ask you to comment 777 in the section below. A declaration that you are aligned with God's purpose and prepared to receive what He has already placed within you. You are a part of a hidden lineage, chosen for a time such as this. You may have walked this earth for many years, but the journey you are on is only just beginning. The lineage of the chosen is not marked by popularity or ease, but by deep spiritual calling, quiet obedience, and an unwavering commitment to truth. Many of the prophets, when they walked the earth, were not celebrated in their time. They were not recognized by the masses, nor did they seek validation. They simply obeyed. And so must you. Let me say this again. You were not led here by chance. You are here because God has called you. The very fact that you are still listening means that your spirit is receptive, that you are one of the chosen ones. This message is for you. Embrace it, for it is part of your divine awakening. As you sit with these words, let them settle deep within your spirit. What I want to share now is of great importance. You are not here by accident, and your life has not been a series of random events. God's timing is always perfect, and this moment, this message, has reached you at the precise time you needed it. Not earlier, not later, right on time. It's essential to understand that God does not operate by human standards. We, in our finite understanding, may see moments of difficulty, delay, or confusion as obstacles. But God, in His infinite wisdom, uses all of it. The struggles, the setbacks, the waiting, to prepare you for what He has placed inside of you. Your purpose is already written, and it has always been part of a divine plan that predates your very existence. Look back on your life for a moment. You may have questioned why things unfolded the way they did, why you experienced challenges that others didn't seem to face. But now, as you begin to understand the truth of who you are, you will see that those moments were never meant to break you. They were meant to shape you, to refine you. They were part of God's perfect preparation for the spiritual gifts He has placed within you. You have always carried a calling, even when you didn't understand it fully. God's message to you is clear. You are a vessel, a chosen one. The same spiritual gifts that once rested upon the prophets of old are alive and active in you today. It is not a coincidence that you see the world differently, that you feel things others cannot sense, or that you question things that others readily accept. These are signs of your divine nature, your calling, and your alignment with God's purpose. You are chosen to walk a different path, a path of spiritual depth, a path that others may not fully understand, but a path that leads to great purpose and impact. From the moment you were born, God placed His hand upon your life. His call has been upon you since before you even knew what it was. This is why, at times, you have felt different, like you were meant for something greater than the ordinary life others around you seemed to accept. You may have been misunderstood. People may have questioned you, your beliefs, and your way of seeing things. But I want you to understand this. It's not a sign of weakness, nor is it a flaw. It is your divine positioning. When you read about the great prophets, figures like Elijah, Jeremiah, or Isaiah, many imagine them as extraordinary, almost untouchable people who spoke only in grand, dramatic moments. But the truth is, they were human beings like you. They felt deep emotions. They struggled with their own doubts. They faced moments of great isolation. But they also carried something within them that was larger than themselves, the very message of God. And like them, you are not meant to fit in with the crowd. Your calling doesn't align with worldly expectations, and that's a good thing. It's a sign that you are walking a different road, a road that leads to divine destiny. You have felt it, haven't you? That inner tension, the sense that you are different, not better, just different. The world may seem to offer its distractions, its temptations to conform, but deep within you, something resists. It's not rebellion, it's discernment. From an early age, you noticed things others ignored. You questioned the things others accepted without thought. You saw through the masks people wear, and it troubled you when you saw things out of alignment with truth. This has always been part of who you are, a chosen vessel, a truth bearer. You were never meant to blend in. You were designed to stand apart. Let me tell you something important now. Isolation is not your enemy. It is, in fact, a sacred classroom. Think about the prophets once more. The great revelations they received from God were not given to them in the midst of large crowds or noisy environments. No, God often spoke to them when they were alone, in moments of solitude, in places where they could hear only His voice. The same is true for you. You may have felt alone, even abandoned at times, but I want you to see that God was preparing you for something greater. The seasons of solitude in your life were not meant to punish you. They were meant to shape you. In those moments, when you felt like no one truly understood you, when you had to wrestle with your thoughts and emotions in isolation, you were not being neglected. You were being refined. God does not entrust His spiritual gifts to fragile foundations. Before He calls you to step into your divine purpose, He builds depth in you. Depth is forged in seasons where nothing seems to make sense, but your spirit still presses forward. It is in these quiet moments, in the wilderness, that God strengthens your foundation so that you can carry the weight of the calling ahead. You may have wondered why things didn't always seem to fall into place for you, why relationships felt shallow, or why doors didn't open when you thought they would. It's because God has been preserving you. You were never behind. You were being prepared. Your path may have seemed slower than others, but I want you to understand this. God's preparation is always intentional. He doesn't waste time. If you feel like you've been in a season of waiting, remember that God is never idle. He is working, molding, and preparing you for the responsibility He has placed within you. And that brings us to something essential that I want you to understand: your spiritual gifts. The gifts God has placed inside you are not for personal gain or recognition.
They are not for fame or status. No, chosen one. These gifts are a responsibility. Just as the prophets of old did not walk in their calling for applause, neither should you. Your gifts are meant to serve others, to bring light into dark places, and to carry truth where it is most needed. God does not give His chosen ones a gift without placing a corresponding burden. The responsibility of spiritual gifts is heavy. You feel deeply because you were designed to. Your discernment is not an accident. It's part of your calling. You sense things that others do not. You feel the weight of injustice in the world. You see through the superficialities that others are content to accept. And all of this can be exhausting at times. But I want you to understand something. This is not a weakness. It is a strength. Your sensitivity is not something to be ashamed of. It is your spiritual awareness, your ability to connect with God's voice in ways that others may not. The world often celebrates loud confidence, but God chooses those who are quiet and steadfast, those who endure without fanfare. You are being shaped in this very moment, being trained to carry the weight of your calling without breaking under the pressure. But there are times, I know, when you've questioned it all. Why you feel so different. Why your heart feels burdened by the pain of the world. Why you can't seem to switch off the awareness that you carry. The answer is simple. Because you were never meant to. God has entrusted you with something sacred. Something that requires depth, awareness, and the ability to discern the truth in every situation. You are not broken for feeling overwhelmed. You are being refined. As you begin to recognize and embrace this truth, I want you to understand that your spiritual gifts are not just for you. They are meant to be shared. You may not have the platform you desire, the recognition you think you deserve, or the approval from others. But know this. Your gifts will not be hidden forever. God sees you. He knows the weight you carry, and He is preparing you for a purpose far greater than you can imagine. Take a moment now and reflect on your life. See the hidden patterns that have led you here. The pain, the isolation, the questioning. It all had a purpose. Your path, though difficult at times, has been a preparation for something far greater. The responsibility you carry is sacred, and it will shape not only your life, but the lives of those around you. You are chosen for this moment, for this calling, and it is time for you to step forward with courage. You are part of something much bigger than you realize. The truth is, your journey didn't start with you. Your life, your calling, your gifts, they didn't begin the day you were born. You're part of a hidden lineage, one that spans across generations, one that has always carried the sacred weight of God's purpose. This divine lineage is not visible to the world, nor does it follow the familiar paths of success that the world glorifies. This lineage is reserved for those who are called to carry the light into dark places. It is for those who will not compromise, who will stand in truth, even when the world around them is comfortable in lies. God has always worked through a remnant, a small but powerful group of people who are set apart for His divine purposes. It's easy to look around and feel as if you are the only one who sees things differently, the only one who is struggling with the weight of your calling. But you are not alone, chosen one. You are part of a spiritual lineage that stretches back to the ancient prophets who walked this earth long before you. You are part of a legacy that includes the voices of those who spoke boldly on behalf of God, who carried messages of truth that often went unheard, who endured rejection and pain, but who are faithful nonetheless. As you look at the stories of the prophets, figures like Jeremiah, Elijah, and Ezekiel, you might wonder, how could they stand firm in such turbulent times? They were ordinary people, just like you. And yet,
they carried something extraordinary. They were chosen to deliver God's messages, even when the people around them rejected and ridiculed them. They didn't speak for approval or applause. They spoke because they had been called, and they knew that God's message was more important than their own comfort. You may have often felt misunderstood, just like they did. You may have wrestled with your emotions, your thoughts, your desires, questioning your place in the world. You've asked, why me? Why do I feel so different? Why do I see things others don't see? Why does my heart ache with a depth that others seem to overlook? But here is the truth that will bring clarity to your spirit. You have been set apart, chosen from the beginning. You are part of that same spiritual lineage, the same remnant that God has always used to carry His truth into the world. Just as God spoke to Jeremiah, telling him that He had set him apart even before he was born, He is speaking the same thing to you. God's calling on your life is not new. It is not a random occurrence. It has been part of His divine plan since the moment He created you. Before you even knew who you were meant to be, God had already chosen you. Before you ever realized the weight of your calling, He had already prepared you to carry it. There is a profound truth in this. God does not choose the ones who seem the strongest, the most capable, or the ones who appear to be the most qualified. No, He chooses those who are willing to say yes, even when the path is unclear, even when the world around them doesn't understand, and even when the journey seems lonely and uncertain. Your path, chosen one, is not about your own strength. It is about God's strength working through you. The moment you said yes to Him, He began to equip you with everything you would need to fulfill your calling. And I want you to understand this clearly. Your journey is not about your own glory. It is about God's glory, His purpose, and His plan. The world may never fully recognize you or your calling, but that is not your concern. Your responsibility is not to gain approval from others, but to remain faithful to what God has called you to do. The same God who spoke to the prophets of old is speaking to you now, chosen one. His voice has not grown silent. His message has not changed. He is calling you to walk boldly in the truth, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when the path seems narrow, and even when you are walking it alone. God's purpose for you is not to blend in, to conform, or to follow the crowd. It is to be set apart, to carry a light into places where darkness has taken root. The truth you carry may make others uncomfortable, but it is the truth that the world desperately needs to hear. You are not here to make people like you. You are here to make people see God. And that is a higher calling than any temporary validation the world can offer. So when you look around and see others seemingly moving forward with ease, when their paths seem clear and their success seems effortless, don't compare yourself. Don't question why your journey seems more difficult. Know that God is preparing you for something far more significant. He is refining you, strengthening you, and building you into the person He has called you to be. You are not behind. You are exactly where God wants you to be. And the very struggles you face today will be the foundation upon which your future impact will be built. You see, the world doesn't value the process of refinement. The world values the results, the instant success, the public acclaim. But God values the process. He values the quiet work, the seasons of pruning, the long moments of waiting when nothing seems to happen. He knows that this is where your character is shaped, where your strength is built, and where your faith is tested. God does not waste any part of your journey. Every step, every challenge, every season of difficulty is part of His perfect plan to prepare you for what is ahead. The reason why your life may feel different from others is not because you are doing something wrong. It is because you are walking a different path. And that path, though it may be marked by moments of difficulty, is leading you toward your divine purpose. God has placed his hand upon you, chosen one, and he is not letting go. He has been shaping you through each moment of your life, each challenge you have faced, and each lesson you have learned. And in this, I want to remind you of something very important. God never wastes pain. Every hardship you have endured, every moment of loneliness, every tear you have shed, God has seen it all, and he has been using it to refine you. The prophets, too, faced immense trials. They were not exempt from pain. They were not exempt from rejection. But they understood something that you are learning now. God uses pain to shape purpose. He uses the fire to refine the gold. And you, chosen one, are being refined. There will be moments when you feel overwhelmed, moments when you question whether you can continue, moments when it feels like you're walking alone. But I want you to remember this. You are not alone. The same God who was with the prophets is with you now. The same God who carried them through their darkest moments will carry you through yours. You are part of a divine lineage, a spiritual legacy that has been carried through generations, and now it is your turn to walk in the fullness of what God has called you to. So when you find yourself struggling, when you feel like you are carrying a weight too heavy for you to bear, remember this. It is not your strength that will carry you through. It is God's strength, his power, his grace that will sustain you, and he will not let you fail. He has equipped you for this. He has called you for this, and he will complete the work he has begun in you. Take a moment to reflect on this truth. You are chosen. You are part of a lineage that has carried the truth of God for generations. You have been set apart, not for your own glory, but for God's purpose. And though the journey may be difficult at times, it is leading you towards something far greater than you can imagine. Now, let us pause for a moment and consider something vital, chosen one. If you felt isolated, misunderstood, or alone throughout your life, it is not a curse. It is a classroom. Let me explain this, because it is something essential that will bring peace to your spirit. So many chosen ones struggle with feelings of loneliness, as if they are carrying a weight too heavy to bear, or as though they are left out, or the world around them continues. And yet, I want to tell you this, that isolation is not your punishment. It is your preparation. Throughout the scriptures, we see time and time again that God often calls his chosen ones into seasons of isolation. It was in the wilderness that Moses encountered God in a burning bush. It was in a cave that Elijah heard the still, small voice of God. It was in a desert that Jesus fasted and prepared for his public ministry. And so it is with you. The seasons of silence, the moments when you feel alone, are not signs that God has abandoned you. They are seasons of refining, of purging, of preparation. When you are alone, there is no one else to distract you. There is no external noise to drown out the quiet whispers of the Holy Spirit. This is where God speaks most clearly, when you are still enough to hear his voice. But make no mistake, this isn't a temporary place. It's not a place to stay forever. It is a sacred time of training, a place where you are learning to rely fully on God, to hear him clearly, and to discern his voice above all others. The prophets understood this, and many of them experienced profound isolation as part of their calling. Think about Elijah, for example. He spent much of his ministry in solitude, often alone in the wilderness, while others were living in comfort. And yet, in that solitude, God did some of his most powerful work. Elijah heard God's voice in the quiet, where distractions couldn't cloud his discernment. He learned to trust God's timing and to wait on him, even when the world around him was in chaos. Chosen one, understand this. Isolation is not a punishment for your sins. It is not a form of rejection. It is divine protection. When you are isolated,
God is preparing you to carry more than you could handle in the noise of the world. It's in solitude that your spirit grows. It's in solitude that your relationship with God deepens. This is not a time to shrink back in discouragement. This is your moment to rise. You are being trained to stand strong in the midst of storms. And let's be honest for a moment. It's easy to get caught up in the world's standards. It's easy to want what others have, to seek the approval of your peers, to chase after popularity, or to desire the comfort of conformity. But the chosen ones are not called to follow the world's way.
You are called to follow God's way, and often that means walking alone. But that is not a lonely walk. It is a walk with God Himself, and that is the most powerful walk you can take. It is the way of strength, peace, and clarity. This season of solitude, this training ground of isolation, is not a waste. It is necessary. Without these moments, without these periods of quiet and stillness, you would not be equipped to carry the weight of your calling. Without them, you would not be able to discern truth from lies. Without them, your spirit would not have the depth to withstand the challenges that lie ahead. The prophets were rarely surrounded by crowds when they received revelation from God. They were often alone, hearing God's voice in the silence. And just like them, you are being shaped in this same process. But why does God allow these seasons? Why does He allow you to feel alone? It's because God does not want you to rely on the comfort of others to feel His presence. He wants you to understand that His presence is all you need. He wants you to trust Him fully, to rely on His strength and guidance, even when no one else is around. God is drawing you close, and it is in the quiet, in the stillness, that you will truly learn to hear His voice. Now, chosen one, there's another important part of this lesson that must be addressed. When you begin to realize that God is teaching you in isolation, there's a tendency to feel like you are losing something, like you are missing out. Perhaps you've seen others around you who are living what seems like a more comfortable life. They are surrounded by friends. They are making progress in ways you may not yet understand. But don't be deceived by appearances. You are not behind. God is not withholding from you. He is preparing you. The preparation process can be slow and tedious. It can feel like nothing is happening when, in reality, everything is shifting on the inside of you. God is working within you, deepening your discernment, sharpening your spiritual sensitivity, and making you strong. He is developing the foundation of your character, the very thing that will sustain you when you begin to walk in the fullness of your calling. The delays, the detours, the moments when it feels like nothing is happening, they are all part of God's perfect plan for your life. Let me encourage you with this. Don't rush this season of preparation. Don't try to move ahead of God's timing. There will be moments when it feels like you are stuck, when it feels like you're not advancing. But trust me when I say that God is working even in the stillness. He is building something inside of you that cannot be seen on the outside yet, but it is essential for the work He has called you to do. Your isolation, chosen one, is not just about spiritual training. It is also about emotional and mental preparation. You are learning resilience in these moments. You are learning how to stand strong when others might crumble. You are learning to trust in God's plan, even when it doesn't make sense. In times of solitude, God teaches you to hold on to His promises, even when everything around you seems uncertain. This is a vital lesson for what lies ahead. But here is the key thing you need to know about this season of isolation. It's not forever. It will not last. Just as God called Elijah from the wilderness, He will call you out of this season when the time is right. But when He calls you out, you will be ready. You will be stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever thought possible. The things you are learning in this quiet place will be the foundation of everything you do in the future. So do not fear your isolation. Do not let it make you feel small or insignificant. Embrace it. Let it become your place of spiritual strengthening, and when the time comes for you to step forward, you will do so with power and authority, because you have learned to trust God in the quiet. You have learned to hear His voice and discern His direction, even when it felt like you were walking alone. Chosen one, your isolation is sacred. Your moments of solitude are sacred. They are shaping you into the person you are meant to be. And when you emerge from this season, you will emerge with clarity, purpose, and spiritual depth that will allow you to carry out your divine assignment with strength. Take heart, chosen one. The process may be hard. You may feel lonely, but you are not forgotten. You are being prepared for greatness, and everything you're learning now will be used for the glory of God. Rest in this truth, and when the time comes, you will see the beauty in the preparation. Let me speak to you directly, chosen one, because what I am about to say is deeply important for your journey. It's something that many chosen ones struggle with, something that causes confusion and sometimes even despair. The burden of spiritual gifts. You see, these gifts, these divine callings that you carry, are not given lightly. They are not for your own fame or validation. They are, in fact, a weight, a sacred, holy weight. And with that weight comes great responsibility. It is essential to understand this. Spiritual gifts are not about elevating your ego or creating a platform for your personal gain. They are about service, sacrifice, and obedience to a higher calling. The world may tell you that gifts are meant to bring status, recognition, or success. But in God's kingdom, gifts are not rewards. They are burdens. Now, before you feel overwhelmed by that, let me remind you of something that is true in every moment of your journey. God will never place more on you than you can bear. He will not give you a burden without providing the strength to carry it. But understand this, the burden will always require your surrender. It will require you to lay down your own desires and ambitions, to embrace the uncomfortable, and to walk in obedience even when it seems hard. If you have ever felt the weight of your gifts, if you have ever questioned why your heart is burdened when others around you seem so carefree, you are not alone. The prophets of old knew this burden well. Take Moses, for example. When God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses didn't rush to embrace the calling with joy and excitement. He hesitated. He questioned. He even tried to run away from it, thinking he wasn't capable of carrying such a weight. Why? Because the responsibility of spiritual leadership is not a light thing. When you are entrusted with truth, when you are called to carry the light of God into dark places, you must know that it will not always be easy. It will not always be comfortable. It will not always bring applause, but it will always bring purpose. Your spiritual gifts are not just for you to enjoy. They are given so that you can serve others. They are meant to lift the burden of others, to bring clarity in moments of confusion, to bring healing to wounded hearts, and to bring hope where there is despair. But with this responsibility comes the pressure to remain humble, to stay focused on God's will rather than your own. I want you to pause and think about the prophets again. They were not celebrated in their time. Many of them were mocked, ridiculed, and even rejected. They didn't walk around with their heads held high, boasting about their divine calling. Instead, they often struggled with their own sense of inadequacy. But this struggle wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a sign of humility, a sign that they knew the weight of what they carried, and that they recognized it was not by their own strength that they would fulfill God's calling. It was only through surrender to God's will. You, chosen one, are no different. Your gifts, the spiritual discernment you carry, the sensitivity to truth and injustice, the deep emotional capacity you feel. These are not burdens to be ashamed of. They are burdens to be embraced. They are not weaknesses. They are strengths that have been cultivated within you, often through seasons of difficulty, discomfort, and isolation. You feel deeply because you are meant to. You see things others overlook because your spirit has been trained to discern the truth. But here's the thing that many chosen ones overlook. This sensitivity is not a flaw. It is your greatest strength. The world often views emotional sensitivity as a weakness, but in the kingdom of God, it is a powerful gift. It allows you to understand others on a deep level. It allows you to empathize with their pain, their struggles, and their fears. You're not broken for feeling deeply. You are positioned. Your emotional capacity has been shaped by God to help others, to bring them to a place of healing and wholeness. You may have questioned this sensitivity. You may have wondered why it hurts so much to see injustice, to feel the pain of others, to witness the brokenness of the world. But let me tell you this. Your sensitivity is not weakness. It is spiritual awareness. It is the very thing that allows you to carry the burdens of others in prayer. It is the thing that allows you to stand firm in truth, even when the world around you compromises. And I need to say something to you now that will bring freedom to your spirit. You are not broken for feeling out of place. The world may try to convince you that you need to numb your emotions, to suppress your sensitivity, or to conform to what everyone else is doing. But I want you to hear this clearly. You were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd. You were set apart, chosen to carry the weight of truth and to be a beacon of light in a world that often prefers the darkness. Your calling, chosen one, is not a comfort. It is a responsibility. It is a responsibility to stand in truth, even when it costs you relationships, reputation, or comfort. It is a responsibility to speak up when everyone else remains silent, to stand firm when everyone else is swayed by popular opinion, and to carry the light of God's truth, even when the world prefers darkness. But here is the most beautiful part of this calling. God does not call the strong. He makes the weak strong. He does not choose the capable. He equips the chosen. You may feel overwhelmed by the weight of your gifts, but God is equipping you, chosen one. He is giving you the strength, the courage, and the grace to carry this responsibility. And I promise you this, the weight you feel is not meant to crush you. It is meant to refine you, to mold you into the vessel that God needs you to be. You are not alone in this. The very same God who called Moses, who called the prophets, who called Jesus to walk the earth, is calling you now. And He will provide everything you need to fulfill your purpose. He will give you the wisdom, the strength, and the grace to walk in your calling. But here is where the key to success lies. It is all about surrender. You cannot carry the weight of your calling on your own. You must surrender your own will, your own desires, your own sense of control, and allow God to work through you. Your strength does not come from your own efforts. It comes from your surrender to God's will. Let me say that again. Your strength comes from surrender. When you lay down your own ambitions, your own fears, and your own pride, that is when God's strength becomes evident in your life. This is how the prophets walked. This is how Jesus walked. And this is how you, chosen one, will walk. I know this may be difficult to grasp, especially when it feels like the weight of your calling is too much to bear. But let me reassure you, God does not call you to walk this path alone. His strength is made perfect in your weakness. Your burden will not break you. It will refine you. And you will emerge from this season stronger, wiser, and more fully aligned with God's purpose than ever before. So, As you continue on this journey, chosen one, embrace the weight of your gifts. Do not shy away from them. Do not let the world convince you that you are too sensitive, too emotional, or too different. These are your strengths, and they will carry you to the place where God is calling you. And when the world tells you to fit in, to compromise, to take the easy road, remember this: you are not chosen to fit in. You are chosen to stand apart. And as you stand firm in your calling, you will begin to see the divine purpose unfold in ways you never imagined. Your gifts will not just be a burden, they will become a beacon of light to those around you, bringing hope, healing, and truth. As you continue on this journey, chosen one, there is something I need to address that will bring clarity to your heart and peace to your spirit. Many of you, and perhaps even you, have struggled with a feeling of exhaustion, even when your body is rested. You've wondered why, despite all outward appearances, you often feel drained, spiritually, emotionally, and even mentally. Why does the weight of your awareness feel so heavy? Why do you carry burdens others don't seem to notice? Why does truth seem to weigh on your soul so deeply, while others move through life with a sense of ease? Let me reassure you, chosen one, this is not a curse. This is a sign of your spiritual sensitivity and the depth of the gifts God has entrusted to you. You see, the burden you carry, the awareness that exhausts you, is not a sign of weakness. It is the mark of someone set apart, someone who has been chosen to see things others cannot see, and to feel things others do not feel. Your sensitivity is a strength, not a flaw. It is a divine gift, even though it can sometimes feel like a weight too heavy to bear. The prophets understood this weight, this emotional burden, and they lived with it day in and day out. They felt the deep sorrow of the world, the pain of their people, and the longing for truth in a society that often rejected it. They could not ignore the injustices and lies that permeated the culture around them. They were called to see beyond the surface, to discern the true nature of things, and to carry the burden of that truth. It was not easy. It was often painful, but they did it because they were chosen to carry the weight of God's truth. This is why you feel the way you do. You feel deeply because you were designed to. You sense shifts in energy, in people's motives, in the atmosphere itself, because you have been given the gift of discernment. Your spiritual awareness has been heightened, and with that awareness comes a deep sense of responsibility. You were never meant to live in ignorance or denial. You were meant to see the world as it truly is, to feel the weight of its brokenness, and to respond with compassion, wisdom, and courage. But here is the truth you need to hear. Feeling deeply is not a burden you must carry alone. God has equipped you with this sensitivity because He knows you are capable of handling it. However, He has also given you the ability to surrender these burdens to Him. You are never meant to carry the weight of the world on your own shoulders. Your sensitivity, your discernment, is a gift, but it is not meant to be a weight that crushes you. It is meant to be a tool that helps you serve others, guide others, and speak truth into situations that are clouded by darkness. This may be hard to understand, especially when you feel like you are constantly bearing burdens that no one else sees. The exhaustion you feel is real, but it is also a sign of the incredible depth of your spirit. You are not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You are not fragile for feeling drained. Your capacity for empathy, for discernment, for truth, it is vast, but it is also a responsibility. And this is where God's grace comes in. His grace is sufficient to sustain you. His power is made perfect in your weakness. There are moments in your life when you may feel like you are on the verge of breaking. Moments when the weight of the world's pain, the pain of others, and even your own spiritual growth seem too much to bear. These are the moments when God is teaching you to surrender, teaching you to lean into Him. He is not asking you to carry this weight alone. He is asking you to trust Him He is asking you to surrender your burdens to Him, knowing that He is strong enough to carry them and that He will give you the strength to continue on your journey. You see, the truth is, God does not give His chosen ones a gift without also providing the means to bear it. When He calls you to carry the light, He doesn't expect you to do it in your own strength. He equips you with everything you need to fulfill your purpose, including the ability to rest in His presence, to seek His guidance, and to surrender your burdens when they become too much to carry. But this is something that many chosen ones struggle with: the tendency to try to carry everything on your own. Perhaps you've been taught that to be strong means to handle everything yourself, to always be the one who holds it together for everyone else. But that is not the way God calls you to walk. True strength is found in surrender. True strength is found in recognizing that you cannot do this on your own, and that God's grace is more than enough to carry you through. In this process, you will also find that there are times when God will allow you to step back, to withdraw, to rest. The world may tell you that you need to constantly be active, always moving, always pushing forward. But God's kingdom works differently. He knows that you cannot pour from an empty cup. He knows that you cannot be effective in your calling if you are constantly drained. So He will allow you to rest, to replenish, and to recalibrate. These moments of rest are not a sign of weakness. They are part of your process, part of your spiritual growth. And when you return from those moments of rest, you will find that you are more equipped, more energized, and more focused on the task ahead. Rest, chosen one, is not an option. It is a vital part of your journey. The deeper your spiritual awareness, the more you need to rest in God's presence, allowing Him to renew your strength. You may feel the weight of the world's pain, the heaviness of truth, and the burden of your calling. But remember, these things are not meant to break you. They are meant to refine you. God has placed His calling on your life because He knows you are capable of carrying it, and He will give you everything you need to walk in it. And so, as you continue on this journey, I want you to reflect on this. You are not failing. You are being formed. Every moment of exhaustion, every moment of discomfort is part of the refining process. You are being shaped into the person God has called you to be. Every hardship you face is a tool that God is using to prepare you for what is ahead. And when you are weary, when you feel like you can't go on, turn to God. Lean into Him. Surrender your burdens to Him, and know that His grace will be more than enough to carry you through. You are not alone in this journey. God is with you every step of the way. His strength will uphold you, His love will sustain you, and His peace will guard your heart and mind, even in the most challenging moments. Trust in His process, trust in His timing, and trust that He has equipped you with everything you need to walk in the fullness of your calling. Chosen one, there is a crucial part of your journey that I want to speak to now. A part that often confuses and even discourages those who are walking the divine path. The seasons of pruning, preparation, and discomfort. I know that at times, you have felt as though your life has been full of delays, detours, and moments where everything seems to be falling apart instead of coming together. And yet, these very experiences are the preparation that God is using to refine you for the greatness ahead. When you look around and see others advancing, making progress, and seemingly living with ease, it's easy to begin doubting the process. You may ask yourself, why does my journey feel so much harder? Why does everything seem to take longer for me? Why do I feel like I'm always starting over, always facing a setback, always fighting just to get back on my feet? These questions are normal, but I want you to hear this truth. The delays, the detours, the moments of seemingly endless struggle, they are not punishments. They are divine protection and preparation. It is often said that the process is just as important as the promise, and this truth is especially vital for those chosen by God. The prophets of old knew this intimately. Think about Moses, who spent 40 years in the wilderness before he was ready to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, or Joseph, who was sold into slavery and thrown into prison before God elevated him to a position of power. These men went through years of hardship, of seeming failure, and of intense waiting before God released them into the fullness of their calling. Their journeys were not quick. They were not smooth. They were filled with hardship, frustration, and confusion. But those very seasons were necessary for their growth, for their refinement, and for their readiness to step into their divine assignments. You see, God does not give his chosen ones a gift and then immediately send them out into the world to use it. No, he first refines them, he prepares them, and he does this through pruning. Pruning is a process in which God cuts away what is unnecessary in your life. Relationships, habits, attitudes, and even your own self-reliance. This pruning can feel painful because it often involves letting go of things that you have grown attached to, things that seem comfortable or familiar, but are not aligned with your divine purpose. And here's the thing. You might not always understand why things are happening the way they are. You might not understand why the doors that you've been knocking on for years remain closed. You may wonder why relationships that once brought you comfort have now begun to fade, or why opportunities seem to pass you by. But God sees what you cannot see. He knows that the pruning process is necessary to prepare you for what He has called you to do. He knows that the weight of your calling will require you to be strong and focused, and He will not allow anything in your life to hold you back from walking in the fullness of His purpose. In times of pruning, you may feel like you're losing something, but understand this: God does not take away without giving back something far greater. He is removing what no longer serves you, what no longer aligns with the calling He has placed on your life, and He is replacing it with something far more precious: His truth, His strength, and His peace. These seasons of discomfort, while difficult, are actually gifts from God. They are the times when your roots are deepened in Him, when your character is refined, and when your faith is stretched beyond what you thought was possible. This process of pruning is never easy. It's natural to feel frustrated or even heartbroken as you go through it. You might wonder why you've had to face rejection, disappointment, or even failure when you are doing your best to follow God's plan for your life. But let me remind you of something very important. Failure is never final with God. Every disappointment is an opportunity for growth. Every setback is a step toward becoming the person you are meant to be. And every season of pruning is preparing you for something greater, something that will far exceed what you could ever have imagined. The key is to trust the process. Trust that God is working in the unseen, even when you can't see the fruit of your labor just yet. Trust that He is guiding your steps, even when it feels like you are walking through the wilderness with no clear direction. The path you are on is not random. It is part of God's perfect plan for your life. And while you may not understand the timing, while it may feel like you are being delayed or diverted from your destination, I assure you that the wait is purposeful. The pruning process also brings an awareness of your own limitations. It's easy to become prideful, to think that you have everything under control. But God allows these seasons to humble us, to remind us that we are not the source of our strength. It is God who equips us, God who sustains us, and God who prepares us. It is through His strength, not our own, that we can walk in our calling. And it is through the pruning process that we learn to rely fully on Him. Think about the Apostle Paul for a moment. Before his conversion, Paul was a man of great pride and self-sufficiency. He was highly educated, a respected leader, and a man who believed he could do everything on his own. But when God called him, everything changed. He went through seasons of hardship, including imprisonment, illness, and persecution, and yet through it all, Paul became one of the most powerful and effective servants of God. The pruning that he went through, the challenges he faced, prepared him to carry the message of the gospel with a strength that could not be shaken. Just like Paul, you may have moments when you feel overwhelmed or weak. You may feel that you are not capable of doing what God has called you to do. But know this: God has equipped you for this. He is strengthening you, preparing you, and refining you. And though you may feel weak, that is when His power is most evident in your life. As the Apostle Paul wrote, "But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me.'" 2 Corinthians 12:9. This is the beautiful paradox of the Christian walk. It is in our weakness that God's strength is made perfect. It is in our limitations that His power shines through. And it is through the seasons of pruning, when we feel most vulnerable, that we are prepared to carry the weight of our calling with humility and grace. Now, let me remind you again, the pruning process will not last forever. There will come a time when God has refined you enough, when you have been prepared for the next season. And when that time comes, you will step forward into your divine assignment with a clarity and strength that you never thought possible. You will be ready to carry the message of truth, the light of God, into the world in a way that brings transformation, healing, and hope to those around you. But remember, chosen one, it is not about the destination. It is about the journey. It is about the work that God is doing in you, in your character, in your heart, and in your spirit. As you walk through this journey, trust that every setback, every difficulty, every delay is a part of the perfect plan that God has for your life. He is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. So, as you continue to walk the path that God has laid before you, embrace the pruning process. Trust that God is doing His work in you, even when it doesn't make sense. Trust that He is shaping you into the person you are meant to be. And know that, in time, you will see the fruit of your labor. You will step into your divine calling with strength, wisdom, and grace. And you will walk in the fullness of the purpose God has ordained for you. Chosen one, we have journeyed deep together into the understanding of your spiritual path, the weight of your calling, and the profound experiences you face along the way. Now, I want to delve into an aspect of this journey that you must learn to master: the art of silence, stillness, and listening to God's voice. This is a lesson that many of the chosen ones, including you, often struggle with, because the world around us is filled with noise. The world values speed, instant gratification, and constant stimulation. We are told to keep moving, to chase after success, and to always be available, always be on. Yet, there is a quiet revolution that God is calling you to, a revolution of stillness. It's in these sacred moments of silence, when you are removed from the noise of the world, that God speaks most clearly. God speaks to His chosen ones in whispers, not shouts. The still, small voice. This is how He spoke to Elijah after the great storm and fire had passed. In 1 Kings 19:11-12, Elijah had been through a tremendous storm, a mighty wind, an earthquake, and a fire. But the Bible says that God wasn't in any of those. He was in the gentle whisper. It was in the quiet after the chaos where Elijah heard God's voice. Just like Elijah, You are being called to listen for that gentle whisper. But how can you hear it if you are constantly surrounded by the distractions of the world? How can you hear God if you're always running, always striving, always trying to do things in your own strength? It's in the moments of stillness, of quiet, that you will begin to hear God's voice more clearly. He is always speaking, but the question is, are you tuned in to hear Him? This is where you must learn the discipline of silence. God uses silence to draw you close to Him. It's in the stillness that you learn to hear His guidance, His wisdom, and His direction. The world tells you to fill every moment with noise, to distract yourself with entertainment, to numb your emotions with busyness. But God is asking you to do the opposite. He is asking you to sit in silence, to wait on Him, to listen for His voice amidst the quiet.
Now, I understand that this can feel uncomfortable at first. In a world where we are conditioned to be constantly on, where silence feels like emptiness, you might wonder, how do I find peace in stillness? How do I hear God when everything feels so overwhelming? The answer lies in embracing the silence. It's in these moments that God refines your spirit. You see, silence isn't just about not speaking. It's about clearing space in your mind and heart to receive from God. It's about laying down your own agenda, your own desires, and making room for God's will to be the focus. It's in these quiet moments, when you are alone with God, that He shapes your thoughts, directs your steps, and aligns you more closely with His purpose. This doesn't mean that you will hear a booming voice from the heavens every time you sit in silence. No, it's usually much subtler than that. Sometimes, it's a quiet nudge in your spirit. Other times, it's a deep sense of peace that settles in your heart. It could be a verse of scripture that resonates deeply with you. Or it could be an idea, a thought, or a breakthrough that suddenly makes sense. In those moments, you'll know that it is God speaking to you, guiding you, directing you. But you have to be willing to listen. As you move forward in this journey, chosen one, you will encounter times when you feel uncertain. There will be moments when you don't know which path to take, or when you feel surrounded by confusion and noise. It's in these moments that you must return to silence, not as an escape, but as a refuge. Silence isn't just about waiting for clarity. It's about drawing near to the presence of God. And in that presence, you will find the answers you seek. I also want to speak to those of you who have struggled with feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt. Many chosen ones face this battle, wondering if they are truly hearing from God, or whether they are just making things up in their own minds. Let me reassure you, if your desire is to walk in God's will, He will not leave you in confusion. He will speak to your heart, and He will guide you. But here's the key. You must trust the process. You must trust that God is at work even when you don't fully understand the next step. Even when you feel uncertain, trust that He is moving you forward in His perfect timing. The more you learn to listen in silence, the more clearly you will hear His voice. And the more you learn to hear His voice, the more confident you will become in following His lead. Silence isn't just something to practice in isolated moments. It is a lifestyle. It is about learning to live in alignment with God's will, even in the busiest moments of your life. It's about learning to hear God's voice amidst the noise. It's about quieting your own desires, your own plans, and listening for His direction in every decision. This doesn't mean that you won't make mistakes or experience setbacks, but it does mean that when you walk with God, when you listen to Him in stillness, you are walking in a path that will lead to peace, purpose, and fulfillment. Let me speak to you about another aspect of silence, the necessity of detachment. As a chosen one, there are moments in your life when you will need to detach from people, from environments, and from situations that are hindering your spiritual growth. You may have noticed this already, how certain relationships, conversations,
or even social media feeds can drain your spirit. This is a sign that God is asking you to step away, to be still, and to allow Him to fill the spaces that once were filled with distractions. Detachment isn't about shutting others out or becoming isolated. It's about being intentional with the spaces you allow into your life. It's about learning to discern where you invest your time and energy. God is calling you to discern the difference between noise and truth. There are many voices in this world, but only one voice that matters: the voice of God. You must learn to prioritize that voice above all others. This doesn't mean that you will never have relationships or engage in social activities. It means that you will have the wisdom to discern which relationships are aligned with your calling and which ones may be pulling you away from God's purpose for your life. As you spend more time in silence, you will begin to see more clearly which environments and people are adding value to your life and which ones are distracting you from the path God has laid before you. Remember, silence is not emptiness. It is not a void. It is the space in which God speaks, renews, and restores your spirit. It is in silence that you are filled with His peace, His love, and His guidance. And when you are filled with these things, you will be able to speak truth into the world, to bring light into darkness, and to walk in the fullness of your calling. So, chosen one, embrace the silence. Let it be your sanctuary. Let it be the place where you listen for God's voice. Let it be the place where you find your strength, your peace, and your purpose. It is in this sacred space that you will grow closer to God, and it is in this space that you will be prepared for the next step in your journey. Take a deep breath. Quiet your mind. Let go of the distractions, and listen. God is speaking to you now. He is guiding you, He is shaping you, and He is preparing you for what is to come. Trust Him in the silence. Trust that He will lead you in the right direction, and know that He is always with you, every step of the way. Chosen one, there's another vital aspect of your journey that requires deep understanding and reflection. Overcoming the fear, doubt, and insecurity that often arise when you are called to step forward into your divine assignment. This is a natural part of your journey, and I want you to recognize it for what it is, not a sign of weakness, but a confirmation that you are moving towards something greater. Every time you feel fear or doubt rising within you, understand that it's often a sign that you are on the right path, not the wrong one. I know that many of you have felt this tension. The call on your life is weighty. It feels like you are being asked to step into something much bigger than yourself. It can be intimidating, even overwhelming. You might feel like you're not qualified, not capable, or not ready. And yet, deep inside, there is a knowing that you are being called to something greater. You may hesitate, question, or even try to run from this calling, but the truth is, God does not call the prepared. He prepares the called. This realization is key. When God places a calling on your life, it isn't about your ability or your readiness. It's about His ability to equip you. He has placed this calling in your heart because He knows what He can do through you. Your insecurities, your doubts, and even your fears are not disqualifications. They are simply opportunities for God to show His power through your weakness. As Paul said in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "But He said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.' Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." I want to take a moment to address the fears and doubts that may be holding you back. These are common experiences for those who are chosen, because stepping into your divine purpose often requires you to leave behind comfort, security, and the familiar. It requires you to face the unknown and trust that God is leading you even when you can't see the way clearly. But let me assure you, chosen one, God will not lead you into something He will not equip you to do. The fear of inadequacy. Many of you have struggled with the feeling of inadequacy. You might look at others who seem more confident, more capable, or more qualified, and wonder why God would choose you for such a task. You may question your own abilities and feel that you aren't enough. I want to gently remind you of something very important. God doesn't choose you because you are already strong or capable. He chooses you because He knows what He can do through you. It is in your inadequacy that His strength shines the brightest. It is in your weakness that His power is made perfect. When you feel inadequate, it's not a sign that you are unqualified. It's a sign that God is preparing to use you in ways you cannot yet imagine. You are not meant to rely on your own strength or wisdom to fulfill your calling. Instead, you are meant to rely on God's strength, wisdom, and guidance. And when you do, you will see that you are more than capable to fulfill the purpose He has given you. The fear of rejection. Another fear that often arises for the chosen ones is the fear of rejection. As you begin to step into your divine purpose, there may be people who do not understand your calling, who question your decisions, or who reject you altogether. Rejection can feel painful, especially when you are walking in a direction that feels right in your spirit, but others don't understand it. Let me tell you this: rejection is not a reflection of your worth. In fact, it is often a confirmation that you are on the right path. Rejection comes when you stand for truth, when you follow God's calling on your life, and when you refuse to compromise for the sake of fitting in. The prophets faced rejection. Jesus Himself was rejected by those He came to save. And yet, none of this stopped them from fulfilling their divine assignment. The fear of rejection is real, but it is also temporary. People may not understand your journey now, but in time, they will see the fruit of your obedience. God does not call you to seek the approval of others. He calls you to seek His approval. And when you stand firm in His truth, He will honor your obedience. The fear of the unknown. Perhaps one of the most daunting fears that the chosen ones face is the fear of the unknown. God calls us to walk by faith, not by sight. And this often means stepping into situations where the outcome is unclear, where the path is uncertain, and where you cannot see what's ahead. It is natural to fear what you cannot control or predict. But the truth is, God is not asking you to know the entire journey. He is simply asking you to take the next step in faith. When Abraham was called to leave his homeland, he did not know where he was going, but he trusted God. When Moses was called to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, he did not know exactly how it would unfold, but he trusted God. And when Jesus called His disciples to follow Him, He didn't give them the full picture of what was ahead. He simply said, "Follow me." Trusting God in the unknown is part of your calling. It's in the moments when you cannot see the way forward that you must trust that God is guiding you. He will never lead you into something without also equipping you to walk through it. Even in the darkest moments, when you don't know what's ahead, you can rest in the certainty that God has already gone before you. He is the one who lights your path, and you only need to take the next step in faith. Overcoming doubt with confidence in God. Chosen one. The key to overcoming fear and doubt is to shift your focus from your own limitations to God's limitless power. The enemy will try to sow seeds of doubt in your mind to make you question whether you are truly capable of fulfilling your calling. But I want to remind you that your confidence doesn't come from your abilities. It comes from knowing who God is and what He can do through you. You do not need to have it all figured out. You do not need to be perfect. You simply need to trust God and take the steps He is leading you to take. The more you step out in faith, the more you will see His provision, His guidance, and His faithfulness in your life. The more you step out in obedience,
the stronger you will become in your calling. The doubt will still come. The fear will still arise. But each time you step forward in faith, you will find that God's power is made perfect in your weakness. You will find that He is with you every step of the way, strengthening you, equipping you, and guiding you. Trusting God's timing. Another area where fear and doubt may arise is in God's timing. There will be times when it feels like you are behind, like you are waiting too long for things to fall into place. You may look at others who seem to be advancing more quickly and wonder why your journey seems to take longer. But let me reassure you, God's timing is perfect. His delays are not denials. His timing is not accidental. God is preparing you, refining you, and positioning you for what's ahead. And when the time is right, He will open the doors that no man can shut. Your part is to remain faithful, to continue walking in obedience, and to trust that His timing is always perfect. What feels like a delay may simply be God's protection, God's preparation, or God's invitation to go deeper in your faith. Chosen one, as you continue to walk in the calling God has placed on your life, remember that fear and doubt are not signs that you are on the wrong path. They are part of the journey. They are reminders that you are moving forward, that you are stepping into a purpose that is greater than yourself, and that you are being prepared for something bigger than you can fully comprehend. The key is to overcome those fears with trust in God's power, His timing, and His ability to equip you for whatever lies ahead. So step forward in faith. Trust that you are not alone. Trust that God has already gone before you, and that His power will carry you through every challenge, every fear, and every doubt. You are chosen for this moment, and you are ready to walk in the fullness of your purpose.